And we're heading on to the UK, the United Kingdoms. I've read the history on that. There was actually lots of kingdoms in England before it became UK, and they're all united now and everything is fine. So Alex Barton will be coming up in a few minutes, and he runs ABC Skateboarding. And ABC Skateboarding has been around for 12 years. And before that, Alex was a professional skateboarder who is still skating as good as I wish I could skate. I've never skated as good as he can skate now at 35. So he's a great skateboarder. He's also a father. He's got kids, and he's running a shop, and he's really living the dream. He still skates. He runs a shop. He runs a school. He's got a wonderful family. And before we bring him on, we've got a video to watch that will help you understand who he is before he comes on.
My name's Alex Barton, and I've been skating for 16 years. After working in distribution for 5 years, wanted to do my own thing, and with my business partner, Adam, we came together and thought of opening up a physical shop and an online shop. The shop's tiny at the minute, but that's a conscious decision because we didn't want to take on these massive overheads that so many shops have to because they haven't got the opportunity like we have. The scene in St Albans is good, it's getting better. There's quite a few groups of skaters, everyone's really nice, and I think we can help just kind of keep that growing and growing by making videos and doing comps on Go Skate Day and just stuff in the local area. We're in the process of growing a team. At the minute, it just consists of myself, Adam, my business partner, Charlie Spelzini, and Stefan Mail. Hooked those dudes up purely because I've grown up skating with them. Charlie as well, from back in the day, he was 12 or 13 when I first met him. And Stefan as well, he was one of those young kids that was just really good on the skateboard, and he's a really nice person. I wanted to create a team of people that all gel. You don't have to be the best, you just gotta be a nice dude and gel well with everyone that's involved with the shop and be passionate about skating. We've only been open coming into 3 months now. You just want to be a foothold in your community. Being an independent, I think, is really hard to do, but if you all stick together, we share a shop with a tattooist, independent dude, skateboarder, we're helping him, he's helping us, so it all works out. It's all a challenge, it's all new. Setting up a business is a challenge, getting accounts with people can be a challenge, getting the right product in. But then I wouldn't say it's a challenge, I'd say it's just part of it. You just have to undergo it and see what happens.
Like I said, I wish I could skate half as good as Alex does. That frontside ollie to wall ride is a dream for me. That is just so dreamy, what he did. Alex, are you there?
How's it going?
Thank you. What time is it in London right now, or near London in UK?
It's 7:32 at the minute.
PM. All right.
So not too late. Kids are in bed. I made it to the shop.
Thank you. How many kids have you got?
I've got 2 kids, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Whew, busy times.
Definitely.
Man, kids. My 11-year-old the other day she was in her first skateboard lesson. She wanted to do a lesson, and the guy who's running technical for this show, Devin, who actually ran the first ever Learn to Skateboard Day event 4 years ago. He was running the class, and here we are, 4 beginning skateboard kids. I started them late, they're 11, they're not 3 and 5 years old. And their first lesson, they're hanging onto bars on this rubber mat that we had by the playground. And after 10 minutes into the lesson, they were still hanging on the bars because they couldn't figure out how to roll. They looked up at Devin and said, "When are we gonna learn to ollie?"
That's always the first thing people want to learn. Ollie and dropping down quarter pipes.
Right. I'll bet if you look at the posts on Instagram for people learning to skateboard, the number one thing that's up there is probably people getting ready to drop in and then eating it a lot.
Definitely. Yeah. Never good to see, but part of the process.
How do you teach people to drop in?
We start on the smallest ramp we can find, and we will teach them how to, say it's a flat bank, we'll teach them to drop in with the wheels behind the line, like behind the angle where it changes direction. And then, so just the back wheels are behind and the front wheels are in front. So it gives you, once you press down, you pause, then you roll in. So you're learning how to transfer your weight from the back to the front quite smoothly. And then as you get better and better, you move that front with those back wheels further and further closer to the edge until your back wheels are hanging over the flat bank, and it's an instant drop in then, but you've learned where to position your body and how to drop in. And then we progress to bigger ramps and then quarter pipes eventually.
I'm taking notes. I've never used that technique. I love it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Well, how many beginning skateboarders do you think you've taught?
Oh, no, that's a question. 12 years of coaching. I couldn't put a number on it. Thousands.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it went from, so here you are, arguably one of the best skaters in the world. If you're sponsored, you're good enough to do that, and you're working with beginners. How do you make that leap? How do you connect with a beginner?
I don't know. I think that comes down to individuality. You know, you got to be a certain type of person to work with kids and young adults and things like that. You've got to be able to relate to them. Maybe we're all big kids really, but you've got to be able to talk to them, you know, how I don't know, proactively, and get them engaged and talk in their terms, and, you know, relate to them, really show them interest, show that you care about, you know, teaching them how to progress.
Chris, in your training, when you do the skateboard education, the certified skateboard educator, you talk about connection.
It's pretty much the first thing that we talk about, because look, if you build a good relationship, you build that connection with your students, then you've got a chance of creating a fun experience. So just like Alex is talking about, it's, you know, the connection can come from skateboarding, but no matter what, the connection has to exist. And so we put a lot of time and attention to that. And Alex, is that something that you guys are really focused on when you're getting in there? I mean, have you found that, you know, building that sense of belief and trust, you know, triggers the lesson in a good direction?
Yeah, I'd say it's something I do naturally. And I always have done. But for some people, it doesn't come naturally. So for some of my coaches, you know, before they're left to kind of conduct a lesson on their own, they shadow me for 6 months maybe, to try and help that rub off on them, and just see how the difference between having the connection and not having the connection, and how that can affect the lesson, like you said. Having them shadow me and my other head coach, Charlie, means that they see firsthand just how important it is, and, you know, they start to kind of work that into how they deliver their lessons and things like that.
Have you ever brought, you know, instructors onto your team that are real introverted and have trouble reaching out and connecting? Have you had success like bringing them along to where they get outside themselves?
100%. Yeah, we've had, I mean, one in particular is kind of one we're kind of going through now. We're at the point where it's like, cool, she's loving it, and she's, you know, engaging with everyone. Whereas when she started, she'd be kind of like by my side, a little bit sheepish, and I'd be like, I'd have to, I try and encourage them to, it's not to, you know, point out certain things that the student might be doing incorrectly or things that they could do better. I think that's a really important thing. Like each time a kid drops in, or each time a kid does not, it's like, cool, what could they do better to make it higher, you know, drop in better, more fluid. Like, so this particular person, you know, she'd be next to me and I'm like, cool, you know, do you want to tell that kid what they're doing or like how to improve? And she's like, no, can you tell them? I was like, okay, well, you tell me and I'll tell them.
That's great.
So she's actively noticing what's going on, but, you know, she might not have the confidence to tell that individual, even this person's maybe 10, 15 years younger than her, you know, she needs to tell me first, I pass it on. But then, you know, over the last 8 months, you know, she's really blossomed, and, you know, I can see her now, she's talking to the kids and she's, you know, pointing these little things out, you know, put your shoulder here, look here, you know, it's amazing to see.
What do you think, if you could identify like something critical that helped her turn the corner? Do you think there was a moment, or was it like she just had enough experience and finally it was okay?
I think again, it's the shadowing of myself and my other coaches of seeing the reaction we get when we analyze a student and we inform them of like, cool, you need to stamp harder this time, and the repetition of that, and knowing that, we're not going to get backlash from this kid, or, we're not going to, the kid's absorbing everything we say. So if you think it's a valid point to point out, then, say it. And I think over the time she's noticed that and got more and more confident, and, starting with just helping kids push along the floor. It's like, cool, move your back foot to the tail once it's back on the board, and, be ready, just stuff like that. And it just grew from there. And now, I can leave her with a group of kids and she's happy to chat away. They can talk about school and talk about all sorts, and then still carry on with the lesson.
That's like the one of the most important side effects of skateboarding, right? Is that people find each other and find themselves through it, and they grow. They become a better version of themselves. Definitely.
I mean, that happens when you are a skateboarder, right? Like as you first start, you're probably quite an introvert going into the skate park for the first time, and then you meet people, you learn, you get better and better, and it's just, you just blossom and you just grow and you make new friends and all sorts.
I think it's interesting that this summit that we've got together, it's called the Skateboard Education Summit, and we're really spending a lot of time on beginners, because what we're doing as educators is growing the community. And Alex himself, personally can point to thousands of people he's brought into skateboarding. And first, my hat's off to you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And, while we're talking, I've got a live feed going, and they're all like, oh, I remember joining ABC years ago. And, really interesting, cool. Maybe like, 7 years ago. And they're now kind of like watching me on here and stuff. Yeah, it's cool.
That's great. Thank you. In 1977, I went down to the City Hall in Tacoma, Washington to register a business. And I was 14 years old, so my parents had to sign for me. And I opened up a skateboard shop. Okay. And that was me actually getting product wholesale from NHS. I was getting Road Rider 4s for me and my friend Richard. And that was as far as it ever went. But I always wanted to own a skateboard shop. And when I reached out to you, I thought I was reaching out to a skateboard shop. Right. And it turns out that you didn't start as a skateboard shop. You morphed and you grew into it. How did that happen? Where did you begin?
So, I mean, the way ABC began was our local indoor skate park was struggling to fill sessions and pay bills and things like that. And at that moment in time, I was learning to be a personal trainer. But I kind of thought I'd put those skills in line with my skills on the skateboard into teaching people how to skateboard, to try and encourage new people to join the Pioneer Club. So if I can teach them how to skateboard for that short window of learning to push to how to drop in, and then they come to those general sessions for the longevity. I've been going there 22 years now, so hopefully those people are still doing the same as I did. We build that scene up a bit. From there, I kind of was growing ABC organically, session like a weekly session here once a week. But then I joined a business that distributes Crowd Tap brands, which was based just down the road from me, and kind of learned the distribution side of skateboarding, which was completely new to me. I'd never done sales. I'd never really thought about the other aspects of what skateboarding can provide other than the coaching, because that's what I'd kind of I'd started to build myself on. And then it got to the point, then I was working for Form Distribution in the UK who do, Crowd Tap, Girl Chocolate, Mackay, 4-star at the time. Hopefully they bring that back one day. But I was getting so busy with my coaching, I didn't have any more hours to add to my coaching. So, because I was working a full-time job. So I needed to make a leap to free myself up a little bit or be more in charge of my time so I could teach more. So, like in the video that you showed at the beginning, there was an opportunity for me to join a shop that was a tattoo studio, whose owner is a skateboard friend of mine. He's been skateboarding for a long time. And I took the step to open up a little shop, half the size of probably what we're in right now, probably even smaller.
Can you show us the shop right now? Can you move the camera around?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, this is my pride and joy, my library wall.
Your wall of skate. That's sick. Yeah. It looks so good.
I had this ladder made. Again, it's a student that I teach. His daddy's a blacksmith.
Oh, that's
I had this ladder made, but check this out. To make it really authentic, I hope you can see this. Can you see what it's sitting on?
Oh, come on.
And I'll put it out. They're getting a bit old now, but we're on some Spitfire Chargers, on some Indy 105s. So yeah, currently we're shut. So that's, we're quite a small store.
I feel like we need to see you skate the ladder. I'm just kidding.
Well, before we put it in, we're based on a really big hill. And before we put it in, we were tempted to try and ride it down the hill.
I'm sure you were.
Probably wouldn't have been a great idea. But so that's our, the main feature. A bit of apparel, and then behind me in the dark there, I don't know if you can see, is our tattoo studio.
That's cool.
And then we've got a basement full of all the other stock that we can't fit on the floor.
So how did it go from skateboard coaching part-time to running a shop? How did that happen?
So my plan was, during the day, I could sit in the shop. If we sold some stock, that's a bonus. If we didn't, I had somewhere to work and grow ABC, so I had an office. We had very low overheads, so I only needed it was like £300 a month for my rent at the time, which is nothing in real terms, especially where we are. It's really expensive. Then it was, it meant that I could, shut up shop early, do some teaching on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever I needed to. It just gave me the flexibility to be, I guess, my own boss and be in charge of my hours. And the coaching then grew to a point where I had to employ someone to run the shop for me, because I was shutting the shop early every day. And, I was off to meetings here, there and everywhere. So like, cool, I need to employ a local skater to kind of help me maintain this to start with. And then, we grew and grew. And over 3 years, we grew to a point where we didn't have enough space to hold the stock we wanted to because of the demand we had. So me and the tattooist made the decision to, move into a larger shop. And, we've been going 6 years.
And so, skateboard shops are notoriously difficult to survive. How big of can you imagine trying to run that shop without your skateboard lessons and the business they provide? Yeah,
it would have, the way I did it, it was kind of less of a risk for me because I knew that I had X amount of income coming from my coaching. Retail's difficult in any industry, but, skateboarders are broke most of the time. They don't have a lot of money. So, we're in a hard industry. Kind of keep going, but because we've got such a thriving scene where we are, that helped massively, and I've been ingrained in that scene again for like 22 years now. So everyone knew who I was. They wanted to support the shop because they knew that we would support them, putting on events, giving prizes out, hooking up local riders, things like that. But then the skate schools also fed the shop because we're introducing all these new people to skateboarding where we provide the equipment for them. When they get to a point where the parents are like, it's a bit of an investment spending £100 on a skateboard when we don't know if their little Johnny's going to carry it on. It's like, cool, come and learn with us. We will teach them the basics. You'll be confident that they want to carry on, and then you'll invest in their child to have a decent skateboard and continue their path on a skateboard, really. And joining our lessons or going to the general sessions, like I said, was the main passion for me, is to make sure that the Pioneer survives and has all these new users when I'm not there, kind of thing. So Yeah.
Alex, how much does your, your coaching, your teaching business feed into sales in your shop? I'm just kind of curious, like if you can draw a connection.
I got asked this the other day. It's really hard to put a figure on it. I would say, like, it's a good percentage. I'd say maybe 30% maybe at a push.
That's pretty significant. Yeah.
And I'm one of these people. I'm not a pushy person. Like, I'm not this, right. At my lessons, I'm not like, right, go buy from Lariat and, you this, that, and the other, or vice versa. I'm not like, right, you've bought a skateboard, you need to go learn skateboard. That's not me. Like, I can't do it. But, they know that we're associated. If they want to come into our shop and get the advice that they need to get the right size skateboard for their learner who's 7, or get fitted out for pads or, stuff like that, we're here to help them. And, we'll give them a discount because they're students of ours or vice versa. So, it's, I probably should be, like I said to Joe the other day, like, I don't really advertise what we do at all. I don't promote our skate lessons because we're so fully booked all the time. If I promote them, I won't have the capacity to fulfill the demand.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, when you have something good going, it's a great sign. And
you end up just disappointing more and more people. And the same with the shop. We've got a really good turnaround, really good. I don't hold a lot of stock. I sell it, I buy more. I sell it, I buy more. I don't sit on stuff. Right. So it just helps.
Alex, you were talking about you have how many coaches working full time now?
So we've got like 4 full-time coaches. We've got about 9 coaches in total, but we're looking to recruit at least 3 more full-time coaches going on to 2022.
So it's possible to make a living as a skateboard coach?
I'd say so, yeah, definitely. As long as you go about it the right ways and, you set yourself up professionally, then I think, yeah, you can definitely make a living from it.
Well, it seems you have. You mentioned paying a mortgage.
Yeah, well, a wife, 2 kids, mortgage, a shop, all the bills that come with running a skate shop and a skate school, your insurances, your equipment, your staff, it all costs. But again, I would say it would have taken me about, not 9 years to get to a point where I was like, all right, cool. Like, this is a living now. It took that, I'd say it took that long for me to feel comfortable with the earnings.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations on that. Well done.
Would you do it again?
Yeah, in a heartbeat. I love it. All of it.
You mind if I reflect back on the Ollie Project?
No, of course.
When you're teaching the beginners with the Ollie, they can't do an Ollie in the beginning, and you don't want them to get frustrated. What's your pathway into the Ollie? We
start with Hippie Jumps. So we're teaching kids how to jump off the ball of their feet whilst the board stays on the floor while they're moving, or stationary to start with, and then progress to moving. Because then they're learning that compression to spring off the board. And then once they've got used to that feeling and they feel confident with that, we progress that to, lifting that front foot up at the same time as they're performing the hippie jump. So they spring down to explode up, but when they're exploding up, they're, call it a skip or a Morris dance or something like that. They bring the front foot up, but they trail the back foot slightly. So they're just kind of getting that motion. And then they introduce the springing off the back foot.
And they're doing this on a skateboard or not?
Yeah.
It's funny, Alex, and maybe you'll laugh, but I always think of this image of Peter Pan flying with the knee up and the back foot down, and then like the finish of the Ollie, like a flying sidekick, like from the martial arts.
Yeah, and then you land like a sumo wrestler, And then you land like a sumo wrestler.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, that's so good.
Strong. Like, yeah, completely.
Yep, that's so good. And the cool thing about hippie jumps too, right, is they're learning how to absorb the impact of the landing. So they're getting used to disconnecting and reconnecting to a rolling board, which is terrifying for people.
Yeah. My students, I always say to them, 90% of the time, if I ask you a question, it's either bend your knees or foot positioning.
That's funny. Spoken like a long-time coach.
Yeah. Literally, like, I'll be like, cool, what are you doing wrong? Like, didn't bend my knees enough? It's like, nope. Absorb it. Like, and you talk to people and you say to them, like, cool, when you think you've bent your knees, because skateboarding is not just bending your knees, you're squatting down, like you're really low. So like when you say to someone, bend your knees, they kind of go like a little bit. And you're like, cool, when you think you've bent your knees, I want you to bend more. Like, you have to go further, like, because they're just not used to it. Especially a lot of my adult learners, they bend their knees, they kind of crouch like an inch. And you're like, no, we're talking about sitting in a chair.
It's funny too, because they crouch from their hips, don't they? Like they forget the knee part. And you ask Joe, he'll tell you all day long, I beat him up about ankles. It's ankles. You got to bend ankles, knees, and hips, not just hips.
Yeah. You're sitting on your heels. You got to sit on your heels.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're into the Ollie Project, and wait till you see what Raymond has got about ankles. We did an entire segment on the ankles in the Ollie. It's coming up in a few weeks as soon as we get it finished. So thank you.
I love his stuff. It's amazing. It's so informative.
Yeah, those guys are definitely coming back. They had so much interesting, really useful things that they were talking about.
Definitely.
So, Alex, what else would you like to talk about tonight?
I could talk all night long about what I do. We spoke about how we started and things like that, but we started out as a skate coaching company. I started out, we grew our team, and now we've grown into this company that now advises our local government, our local schools. We're working with the Ben Ramers Foundation in regards to mental health awareness within our culture. We, like I said to you the other day, the biggest thing that I'm really proud of is we helped design, build, develop Oxy Skate Park in Watford, which is a ginormous skate park based just outside of London. And our role there is to get as many people, young and old, onto skateboards and things like that, and just grow the sport and the culture around it. Which then entails we've worked with them. We've worked with several other councils locally, and we've just finished last week and opened a new skate park in Ware, and we work with the local council there, and we've now got 74 schools around the local area that now want skateboard lessons. So it's in schools, yeah. But my plan really is like, it's great teaching in a school, but you've got a hall, and we can take some ramps, but it's not really a skate park. So my process with that is, we go in there for 4 weeks. On the 5th week, we take them to the skate park. We put all the skills that they've learned over those 4 weeks into a real skate park environment, normally during the day, so it's quiet, and they can have us there to coach them and guide them and let them know do's and don'ts, the etiquette of skateboarding, which is so vital, especially when you're in a public space. It's really important, especially when you're learning. It's intimidating to go into a busy skate park, but if you know what you're doing, you can slip into there unnoticed and do what you want to do.
Right. Yeah. That you remind me of our Skate Safe program, which does that. I've talked to a lot of people in the world, and a lot of times I'll just say skateboarding, neutral word, and a lot of times people will come back with the response like, yeah, I really want to, but those skate parks are really gnarly. They're scary. I'm afraid to go in. So to address that, we developed a sign. It's a yellow sign, and it's called Skate Safe. And it has that basic etiquette: look before you leap. Warm up, know your limits. And the hope is that that's going to allow people to have an entree, an up ramp into the skate park, so that they don't break the rules. They know what the rules are, and they feel more welcome there. And really fits with one of the things you said in your video, and you said you look for nice people to be your coaches.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? I mean, just in general, you know, I want to surround myself around people I want to hang around with. And, you know, and especially with my team, like we call them the Lariat family, you know, I took this ethos from somewhere else, but I want to be able to sit in a van with them or traveling around the country for 4 hours and not want to throttle their neck. You know, I want to be having a good time with these people. And the same with my coaches. I want them to be able to experience a career in an industry that they love to do. And, you know, if they're nice people, you know, good things happen to those people, and it all snowballs, and we all progress together. We all grow together. We all have the great opportunities given to us to progress, you know, either skateboarding wise, professionally. You know, there's just so much you gain from, being nice, enjoying your skateboarding, loving it, and living it, really.
Well, yeah, it sounds like you're definitely living that dream.
My own skate park, that's next.
Well, I'm working with the city to get a permit for my backyard. I'm putting in a bowl if anybody wants to come out, and Paul Schmidt is helping me design it.
Oh, I'll be there. Let me know.
Right on. Anything else before we go?
I don't know. Well, skate coaching, skate shop, you know, retail is quite difficult. So, you know, like I said before, having low overheads is a really good way to get into it. So we started with £1,000. I don't know what that is in US dollars or Canadian dollars, but, you know, £1,000 to get our shop going, to buy stock, to start selling and things. You know, now, you know, there was, you know, we're in a big shop. We're turning over quite a lot, and it's all just takes its time. And, you know, you do it all. I do everything organically. I'm not here to push stuff, grow stuff. You know, I'm here to just, you know, if it needs it, I'll grow it, and we'll build it together. And I think, like I said, and you've picked up on, is community is so important. You know, your local skaters, your local scene. If you give to them, they'll give to you, and they'll support you. They won't shop online. They'll come to the shop and hang out and buy a deck rather than spend 20 minutes online sorting out a deck that they want. You know, that's what's really important.
Right on. Alex, thanks for staying up tonight. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
No worries.
Yeah, thank you, Alex.